What is going on, miners, and welcome back to the Hobbyist Miner channel. Well, exactly 30 days ago, we started our helium mining journey. We went ahead and picked up the MNTD GoldSpot by RakWireless, and 2 weeks in, we released a video discussing our experience with this device. If you guys haven't checked out that video yet, I'll go ahead and put a link up in the upper right-hand corner and down below. So, in that video, we went ahead and showed you guys that we had placed our helium miner on a windowsill by the window just on the edge of my property. And it had a good view, open area. It was plugged in, no Ethernet, it was just straight wireless. And we talked a lot about our struggles that we had getting this set up. Cliff notes of that: it took almost 2 weeks total to go ahead and sync the entire blockchain. I dealt with all different types of issues that had to do with it not syncing right, and it saying it was relayed when it really wasn't. It's just, I found very quickly that the entire Helium network and websites like Helium Explorer and Hotspot, everything is just outdated. You make a change, you have to wait days or over a week or 2 weeks to see that change reflected. It does not make sense to me. So anyways, we left off 2 weeks ago with our hotspot, and we discussed the fact of 2 weeks to that day, our hotspot was sitting on the windowsill, and at that time we had only been mining for 2 weeks, but our 30-day snapshot showed us that we were at $15.10. So let's go ahead and make a mental note there. $15.10 in 30 days. But the first week or so, really, you can't really measure very well because the fact of it was sinking. So we were making, you could take a look, we were making like 30 cents a day or something crazy like that. It was nothing super profitable at all. And we had a total of 6 witnesses. So let's skip ahead. We moved our hotspot after that video, and we talked about it in the video. So what we did was we climbed up in our attic. So here is a picture of our ladder going up into our attic here. Installed this quite some time ago. And once you're up in the attic, I originally had showed you guys that I had planned to, at the very end of this attic, right straight ahead, I was going to mount this and stick it on the wall right there. Well, once I got up there, I realized I didn't really have any power easily available to me. So what I did was I actually turned around in that picture. And I'll show you that perspective right here. So turning around, you can see a whole bunch of junk there in the corner. Well, I mounted it, and you can see there's a light switch off to the right-hand side. And then what I did was, down below in my son's bedroom, there was a light switch right there for the attic. I went ahead, and instead of a light switch, I went ahead and continued that electric circuit. So I removed the light switch and I put a blank plate on it. Once up into the attic, I then went ahead and wired up the light switch. So you can see here, I put that gray junction box in. You can see the white cable down below it there coming up from that light switch area. And I just split it. So one cable goes into the light switch and for the lights in the attic. And the other cable goes over now to an outlet that I went ahead and wired in the attic. Now I have electricity that isn't going to be affected by the lights turning off and on. So I went ahead and mounted our MNTD helium miner. There it is in all of its glory. And it's on wireless still, and it's plugged in for power there. And if I give you guys a better perspective of where that is, if we go back and look in this picture, you can actually see the cable coming up. And it's right in this the blue wood paneled area there. So it's been sitting there for now 2 weeks. So let's discuss how we've made out with our profitability, with our witnesses, how things have gone in the last 2 weeks of being in the attic. And then we're going to discuss our next method of testing and how we're going to take this to the next level. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and open up Helium Explorer here, and I'm going to kind of blur out as much as I can. Our unit's offline right now. I have no freaking clue why. So we'll go ahead and look at that in more detail in a moment. But I want to show you guys where our profitability has been. So in the last 24 hours, our profitability has been 0. It showed that it's offline. But let's go back. Let's look at 7 days. We were at $68.10. Remember we talked about it in the windowsill, $15. In the attic, we're now at $68. Let's look at 2 weeks. $133.35. Not taking into account that today it's been down entirely in the last 24 hours, and the day before that, a very low dip. I know it's really hard to see. They don't give you great graphs here, but you can see here, today it's like there's nothing there, and then the day before it's just very little, but look at that big peak that we saw there right in the middle that we had there. And now let's look at 30 days. So our entire time of having this device, we're at $161, and now let's think about that. That's $161, but our first week was syncing the blockchain, and we were making cents. And today, the last 24 hours, we've made 0. So our potential is so much higher. So now let's talk about witnesses. So I had 6 witnesses in the windowsill. Here, it's showing me 21. About a week ago, I think we were at, when I shared it with my Discord community, we were over 30. I think we were at 32 at that point. So I don't know if witnesses have fallen off because now it says offline. Unfortunately, it really sucks to be showing this to you guys tonight with the fact of it's offline. So what is that? Let's talk about just overall what that tells us. Putting aside it's offline, you know, I'll put a screenshot up of it showing us that we did have a true 32 witnesses. And you can kind of see through the blur in the middle that we are going pretty far. Some of these witnesses are an hour drive away, if not more. So we've increased the elevation from the windowsill to the place in the attic. We've increased the total elevation. I'm going to take a guesstimate of about 12 feet. Now, I did move it from one side of the house to the other. So the original location in that window was on the, if we're looking at the front of my house, to the left side, where my garage is above my garage. I moved it to the right side of my house, which is the southern end, which makes a lot more sense based off of what we're seeing within here, because now we see a lot more. So that has been a huge win. So it's increased in elevation about 12 feet. We're not next to a window. We're not next to the screen of the window, which I've heard could cause some issues. We're just sitting in the attic, plugged in, up against the plywood. Now, if I go ahead and jump over to Hotspot, taking a look, it shows it offline. If we go ahead and take a look at rewards, we can go ahead and see in here that in the last 7 days, you know, we were up, and then of course we dropped down pretty significantly there. Taking a look at a 30-day, take a picture, you can see a little bit better of a graph there. You see the first like half of that graph? That was that first week and a half or so. Let's see, can we really put their dates on it? The 16th to the 28th. So 12 days total it really took. There's a blank day for some reason, the 29th, nothing. And then bam, all of a sudden, way up there, which is awesome. Putting us at 0.27 helium in a 24-hour period. But look at our peak. We're half a helium a day on the 5th of January. That's insanity, guys. That is really, really crazy. So that gives us some cool metrics that we can go ahead and see there. So where do we go from here? Well, first I got to get this sucker back online. I received on my phone an alert yesterday, which based off of what I'm seeing on the website, yesterday is really when things dipped out. I received an alert yesterday that said my Helium miner wasn't doing much or something like that through the Helium app. And it said I haven't done anything since block like 8300 or something. So I didn't have a chance to get up in the attic. I didn't think anything of it. I went from there and I checked and it was online and syncing. So I'm like, okay, cool. So then today I got that alert again this evening, and it let me know like it wasn't doing much, and it had been like hadn't updated in like 2200 blocks or something. So I went up in the attic, I unplugged the Helium miner for a minute, and then I plugged it back in. So that's kind of where we stand. I haven't changed anything, so I'm kind of concerned here that something happened with the Helium miner. Do I need to factory reset it somehow and set it back up? I'm going to give it some time. Everything with these Helium miners takes time. So with that said, I am not going to start my next method of testing until this says it's back up and running. I don't want to include offline-ness back in the testing. I actually thought about putting a smart plug up there just so I don't have to climb up in the attic and I can just go ahead and do it on my phone to turn off the outlet and turn it back on. But I really hope this isn't something I'll have to do as often. It is on wireless, so I don't have a wire available at the current time in that location, maybe at a future date, but maybe that's an avenue to go. If you guys know if this is something common with wireless, please let me know. But the device is pingable. Like, I rebooted it and I can ping the device. I set a DHCP reservation within my firewall, as well as did the port forwarding. So like, I can ping it and it's fully available. So what's next? So after this is back up and running, I'm excited to share with you what's next. So going back to our pictures in the attic, here is our game plan. So right above the miner, I'm going to leave it exactly where it is. And we're probably going to need a 6-foot, maybe 8-foot, 10-foot LMA 400 cable. I believe that's the right one based off my research. And we're going to run that antenna cable from the miner up to the very top of the wall right near the 2x4. And we're going to mount it into the top of that 2x4, screw it down with a zip tie and clamp, and go up to the very peak so we're going to start here where I showed you. And then we're going to go to the peak. You see the peak of my house right there? And it looks like worms. It's actually spray. It's actually like a spray insulation that I was filling a spot there. But on the left side of that, exactly where my finger is at, the left side of that 2x4, I'm going to drill a hole through the plywood, and then I'm going to mount the 5.8 dB antenna right on the outside of there. So since I have some extra time, I've been doing my research into looking into different antennas, and I'd love your opinion. What do you guys recommend for a 5.8 dB antenna, or do I just go to an 8? Like, I don't have any limitations. So at this point, you guys can see if I put the antenna right through there, like in the top corner where that plywood is, and the outside of my house there's nothing nearby to obstruct it. So there's plenty of room there. And the nice thing is, you got to think, like, that's probably about 5 feet higher, 6 feet higher than it is now. And if we were at 32 witnesses in our heyday, you know, that one handful of days, I can only imagine, like, maybe we see 40 witnesses, which would be awesome. But that's kind of our game plan next. So I'd love some comments down below. What antennas do you guys recommend? It looks like I'll probably need an 8-foot to probably 10-foot antenna cable. So is there a certain cable that you guys recommend? I believe it's called an LMA 400. Maybe I'm wrong. But certain brands, certain qualities, models, you know, all that information would be awesome to see down below from you guys. So that is a quick update, guys. In 30 days, we've made $161.32. That's based off the current price of helium right now, with our $400 investment. Putting that all aside, if we nail this down and get this working properly, I imagine we'll see about a $250 a month profitability from helium mining. That's a guess. That's what we're aiming for, which allows us to go ahead and break even in under 3 months, which is a phenomenal investment. And I'm actually trying to get myself another one the best I can through MNTD's website when they do go ahead and do their drops, even though they're abysmal. So I've rambled on, guys, for plenty. We're at 13 minutes right now. Please leave a comment down below. I talked about a lot of stuff. I would love to know how your helium experience has been going, what has worked well, what hasn't. Have you tried to relocate it to the attic? If you haven't, I would consider it. It was an easy fix for me, just putting an electric outlet in the attic and moving it up there, and bam, we are seeing some great improvements. Well, guys, thank you guys very much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this update and you are eager to see more of these about helium mining, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And if this is your first time visiting the channel, please consider subscribing. Take care.